Welcome back to the market, please. Now, 3 former central bank governors have all justified the Bank of Ghana's inflation targeting policy, which is primarily aimed at ensuring stable prices and low general price levels. There's more in the following Business Desk report.
The forum brought together businesses, economists, and all the former central bank governors to deliberate on the effectiveness of the Bank of Ghana. Presenting his keynote address, former Securities and Exchange Commission boss Dr. Nick Kusowa said there cannot be any justification for scrapping the policy. He later explained to Joy Business why he made those statements in his presentation.
No, I think you can hear from the discussions after people have gotten an understanding of what the process involves, that with inflation targeting, you are no more just focusing on just inflation, but that the central bank takes a look at other national objectives as well. There's virtually a consensus that the IT process is about the best thing that we can do for now. What people are now talking about is something that the central bank is talking about how to polish up the process. But that the process is what we should do. I think there's no doubt about that.
The policy has come under some criticisms due to its failure to ensure the low cost of credit and budget overruns. There have been calls for its scrapping because it has failed to get the desired result. But these former governors have been given reasons why this policy should be maintained. Let's hear from Dr. Henry Wampa, who believes the commercial banks can do a lot to make the policy relevant.
He tried to push the blame on customers, that they should vote with their feet. They should move to other banks if they don't like the interest rates in their banks. In effect, that's what it meant. But I think the banks too have a responsibility to ensure that they have a stable system. So they can afford to calm down on the interest rates a lot sooner than the others. And if they do that, those big banks like his bank, the Ghana Commercial Bank, Stanchart, and Barclays, EcoBank, those banks can lead and the others will follow. So I think that is what we do, instead of saying that the people should move to whichever bank that will suit their needs. Thank you.
Please put your hands together.
Former Governor and Vice President Kwesi Amissah Arthur tells the Bank of Ghana cannot be blamed for non-effectiveness of the policy.
The authority that is determining the incentives in the real sector is the Finance Ministry. Now, when the growth doesn't come, then they are piling that blame on the central bank. I don't believe that it is correct and to blame the central bank, the MPC, for, and Dr. Sowa has put the answer where I thought it should be. There are many other things, but I think that I'll leave it.
Former Governor Dr. Paul Akwa indicated that people should appreciate the whole framework guiding the policy before they try to judge its effectiveness.
There should not be confusion between inflation targeting and inflation targeting framework. The inflation target is an objective. The framework is a process by which you condition, you create, you shape the economic environment to deliver that inflation target. So it's not, you should not say that because Ghana is one of only 3 sub-Saharan economies that operate an inflation target, that system is not suited to the country. Yeah, so I think that is what I should say.
These governors all expressed their thoughts on the forum on effectiveness of the monetary policy organized by the Economics Department of the University of Ghana, Legon.
Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, says it will adopt some drastic measures this year to further express their frustration over the long-standing issue of the influx of foreign retailers on the local markets. An executive member of GUTA, Benjamin Yabua, has disclosed this to Joy Business, said the local retailers in the country are running out of patience over the invasion of foreigners. Now he warns the local retailers have threatened to kick out the foreign counterparts if government fails to act swiftly.
Hope that we do this thing with government, because we don't want a situation whereby our various regions would take it up, because they are threatening. They are threatening to take it up if government or those agencies that are supposed or mandated by law to do it don't do it. And that might be chaos. So we would employ government that, please, as a matter of urgency, it's about time they work on it. Apply the law. Tell those within the system to give the goods to the Ghanaians. Let them have some MOU. If they might not be able to pay upfront, if government can even help with proper soft loans to our Ghanaian people for them to buy the produce from them, they should. So we can have some sort of sanity. At the moment, it is very dangerous.
Any timelines for government to act?
We will not give any timeline. The timeline is now. They should act now. Because if you don't act now and tomorrow, a region or a sector from GUTA decide to act, who do you blame?
Let's stay with trading activities, and government has indicated it will go ahead with full implementation of the tax stamp program despite threats from some beverage manufacturing firms. The Food and Beverage Association at a news conference recently threatened to withdraw their products and shut down their operations if government goes ahead with the tax. According to them, the current structure of tax would collapse their businesses if implemented. But government has maintained that even though it is willing to engage them, there's no turning back on this policy. Kweku Kwating is Deputy Minister of Finance.
We have said that for the first 6 months, the stamps will be supplied free. We have made a provision at the port for importers to affix the stamps to their product free of charge. We have sent a law to Parliament to get an accelerated capital allowance for those who use their money to procure the affixing machines. I therefore think that we have addressed these concerns enough. We have given what was your last question?
The concerns about this food tax and the fact that they're not going to comply, they're going to even withdraw their products from the market.
Yes, we have had concerns. We were asked in October, in fact, much earlier than October, when the budget statement was read and we signaled our intention to implement this policy. We had complaints that we needed to give them time so that they can rid the market of products that have not been stamped. And so on the 31st of August 2017, we relaunched the policy and indicated that we are not going to enforce it immediately. We are going to enforce it on the 1st of March 2018. It was all to meet the concerns of affected importers and manufacturers. About the tax stamps themselves, we decided that in view of the fact that we are beginning to implement this policy fresh, we would absorb the entire cost of the stamps. We have taken a law to Parliament, the Income Tax Act of 2015, to get an amendment in order that we can do accelerated capital allowance for those importers and manufacturers who invest in equipment that will allow them to affix the stamps to their products. We have done all this and given ample time so that we will not have the concerns we are hearing now. But 6 months on, we are still being told that there are still products on the market and therefore we need to wait further. We are unable to wait forever. We will go ahead and implement the law and make sure that the policy works. We will continue to listen to the concerns of stakeholders, but I have to say, as respectfully as I can, that expressing these concerns cannot be a substitute for obeying a law passed by Parliament, and a law that we are all required to enforce. So the only real way out for affected manufacturers and importers is to comply, and then we can realize the necessary revenue to help deal with the development challenges we have as a country.
I went through your statement. There was a last line that talked about the fact that comply or possible. So what are some of the sanctions that could be meted out to these companies that have taken entrenched states?
Well, the law allows the tax authority to seize any goods that ought to have stamps that do not have stamps to start with. The law allows the government to do that. Investigation then can be conducted to trace the items to the particular manufacturer or importer that let the item onto the market without the appropriate stamps. So once an item that ought to have the stamp does not have it, you seize the items, you conduct investigations, and the law allows even custodial sentences. So I guess it will be given to the police, and then they can take the person through the necessary sanctions.
Are you going to explore that?
We will do whatever it takes to ensure that this law is enforced. It is important that as a country we look within ourselves to see what resources we can mobilize. This is not a new tax. It is an arrangement to ensure that those who are paying the old taxes are actually doing, who are required to pay an existing tax, really do so. I mean, for importers and manufacturers to say, look, we are paying our excise taxes, we are paying everything we're supposed to pay. And yet, when I set out to institute a monitoring regime, you say we don't want the monetary regime.
Aren't you killing a fly with a sledgehammer? The bit about when, if you have to use the law and enforce the law, even custodial sentences?
I think it would depend on the circumstances.
Interesting development there. And I've been joined in the studio by the Executive Secretary of the Food and Beverage Association, Samuel Aggrey, to react to what seems to be government's adamant position on the tax stamp implementation. You're welcome to Marketplace, sir.
Thank you.
Now, so what exactly are you going to do now? Because it looks like government is not backing down. It becomes non-negotiable, and you are also backing or standing on your position. So what is going to happen now?
Now, listening to the minister, he refers to the law, the law. Now, if I'm an investor, or you as a citizen, you are being forced down the riverside to be drowned, and you tell me the law says so. So therefore, I should be forced there when you know that by crossing, I'll be drowned. So what do? I have every right to resist. Now, it's the same way we had this, the toll tax. It was the same parliament that passed it. But because of the challenges, we were forced to withdraw it. It's not because it has been passed by parliament, then we have to enforce it as it is. Now, this tax, I will tell you that it's somehow draconian. Because if you tell me I'm not able to affix one stamp or one or the other, and therefore the goods that are in the market has no stamps on them, so therefore the police should arrest. When they arrest, what the law says is what they are going to enforce.
Exactly.
Meaning imprisonment, the penalty units that you have to pay, and therefore you as an investor, you ask yourself, is this the line that I want to go?
But Mr. Aggrey, yesterday we spoke with the technical advisor of the GRA. He maintained that the doors are still opened, so we have to start implementing, and then you still consult. I mean, for
you see,
clarity.
for the past 3 years or 4 years that we've been engaging them, we've told them the process that you are using is too expensive for the market. We have cheaper costs, cheaper investment that we can do by using technology. With that one, you don't need even to invest $10,000 to get that one implemented. And you are asking us to go down the hard way. And we are telling you, see, the cost of machinery is $500,000. And those who have multiple lines, it means what they have to do is to invest over 3 million to get those things affixed.
Yeah, but the Deputy Minister rightly said that government is going to bear the costs.
The cost of what? The stamps.
Exactly.
The stamp does not affix itself. It takes machine and manpower to do that. That is why we are saying that, look, you want us to roll it out. Okay, we are good. You see, anytime we go out there meeting them, let me tell you, they know my position on this. And we have said that it's a good thing that we have to do as a country, because that is what will bring the needed revenue. Now, if you are saying that there is no any other means, and therefore what you have in place is what you need to enforce, then it becomes a bit of a challenge, because there are other avenues that we can use in arriving at the same results. Why are we not deploying those ones and rather asking that we should take the way that you want us to go? The only problem that we have is that, you see, the company that has been assigned to oversee the implementation of this project has not done what they should do. And therefore, if you are asking us to enforce it, how do we enforce it? They are supposed to provide certain amount of machinery for industry to do the tax affixing process. Those machines are not come. We are yet paying them. Recently, they brought in a new machine that they said they were going to do some trials to see how it will work. If it works, then it means we have to deploy it through the same amount that the money that government said is going to give to the industry. That thing has not been done. Trials has not been done. So why the need for us to go ahead and do the enforcement and threaten businesses that you are going to close them down and all?
All right, Sammy, so now what's the best way to go? You have threatened to pull out and close down some of your operations. Yes. Is that a way to go? Because it means some of your members who are going to close down will have to endure, life for some time, because they'll have to pay up their debtors and things like that.
I have said time and time again, because the very moment they start the enforcement is the process through which you are telling the businesses to shut down. We are not shutting down ourselves. The law is shutting us down, because I have my product on the market which has no stamps on them. But we expect that over time, new stamps will be coming, or will be introducing the stamps as and when, and then the old stores will be depleted. It's not 1 month or 3 months or even 6 months project. It will take you a whole year to do that. But if you said you are going to enforce it within this short time, and therefore you are going to enforce the law, what it means is that we then have to withdraw the stocks from the market, send it back to the warehouses, and then wait until we are able to buy the machines to affix the stamps. Otherwise, the law will catch up with you. That is it. It's
not going to create problems.
Exactly. This is what they are calling for. This is what they are calling for. And let me use this medium to tell the trading public. If you are a retailer running retail shops, wholesaling, beer bar, hotels, and all that, if you know you are selling a product that has no tax stamp on it by the 1st of March, take them off. If that is the only business that you are doing, take the stocks that you have, send them to the supplier. If the supplier took it from a manufacturer, send it to the manufacturer. We'll receive them, and then we'll lock it up until we're able to affix the stamp before we send them back onto the market. So in between this period, whatever happens, government is to be blamed for it.
That would be very unfortunate. But let's listen to an economist. He is saying that the government must tread cautiously in implementing this policy, looking at the opposition from firms.
Corporate and social responsibilities, and of course government can only do much if it has enough revenue, and so it's difficult to hear the manufacturers saying that they cannot comply. I'm not sure whether it is definite that they cannot comply. I think what should have been done is a lot more engagement and education, as well as awareness, to try to fashion the entire policy out. I mean, with these players, with this industry that is going to comply, because that is, I've read a bit about the policy, and I think that is one of the surest way that we can ensure that we enforce compliance to the tax, because if often with the tax stamp, it's a presumptive tax. Somebody tells you how much he has produced without you being able to verify. And that has always been the bin, the under declaration of quantities and of the volumes of production. And this particular design of the presumptive tax is to ensure that this bank or the GRA is able to get the correct numbers of the quantities that have been produced. And I think it's a novelty that everyone...
They are raising issues about the structure of the tax itself, but it looks like this tango itself is not good for the economy. At a time when government is struggling to raise...
To Georgia, I think there would always be a melting pot where the two can agree on the modalities. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's non-negotiable. We have to do everything possible to implement it, to ensure that government tax yield is increased and the tax compliance is also well enhanced. I mean, it's definitely going to help both the players, it's going to help the entire economy, and it's going to help everyone. If government revenue comes and government is able to undertake the needed infrastructure investment, public investment, I mean, it goes to reduce cost of doing business, it goes to increase productivity, and it goes to increase profitability of these manufacturers.
All right, so that was the view of economist Dr. Eric Osei-Sibe. Now, so like he's saying, we have to reach a common or play on a common field. And what's going to be your final, comment on it?
We have expressed the same position over and over and over and over again. Now, how to get to where the tax is paid is where we have a challenge. We have said when we deploy technology, we get the same revenue that we want.
Okay.
Why are you forcing businesses to invest huge sums of dollars, millions of dollars, before they get their tax stamps affixed? This is not the way to go. We must pay the taxes. The under declaration that they have been talking about, let me tell you, if I'm an importer and I bring in certain amount of quantities of drinks, and let's say 20 cartons of whiskey, and I go to tell GRA that I brought only 10 cartons, it means I've under declared.
Exactly.
Now, when I'm giving the stamps to affix them, what it means is that the other 10 will be impossible to come onto the shelf. Either I take it home and drink it myself, or I have to go back to GRA to tell them I have these 10 cartons. And then they will ask you, how did you get it? Through importation, provide the documents. And through that, they will know that this is what we have done. And the law will deal with you drastically. We know, see, with this law, the tax law has taken care of everything. Everything, and we welcome it so much. I'm the first proponent to say that this law, we need to enforce it.
Right.
You understand? But the way you are asking them to enforce it, that is where the challenge is. Look at that gap where we are complaining that machinery is so much expensive that we cannot. If you deal with that, the rest is for you. So why are we not listening?
Well, it's going to be interesting in the coming few days, but I sincerely believe something should be worked out so that we don't get a situation where shops are closed and businesses get out of hand.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your company, and thank you for coming. And that was Executive Secretary of the Food and Beverages Association, Samuel Agri, sharing his thoughts on the imposition of a tax stamp policy, which will be implemented in a few days to come. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji, and that's it for The Market. Please have a good afternoon.